What's up, everybody? My name is Ryan Turford, and today on youtube.com/Ryan Turford, it's another Mega Wednesday. You know what that means? We are playing Mega Man 4 this week. Now, last week we actually played Mega Man 3. It was awesome. We're now moving on to Mega Man 4, which is a good game, but it's definitely not my favorite in the series anyways. Probably my second least favorite, actually, behind Mega Man 5 is actually probably my least favorite Mega Man game. I still think, though, they're all really good games. Of course, we're going to sit here and watch this really awesome intro. It's basically going over the story of the original Mega Man, actually, which is kind of cool. It's really one of the first times ever since like the credits of Mega Man 3 that we're really getting any kind of backstory on this, which is actually really cool. So it's showing how Mega Man was created. So a strong sense of justice. He volunteered to be converted into a fighting robot. Thus, the super robot Mega Man was born. And then he's like, man, why did I decide to do this? But now, you know, things are okay. He's going to wake up. It's going to be awesome. He's going to have a very flashy entrance like he usually does. And now I love this shot of him on the train. It's so cool. Mega Man shattered Dr. Wily's plans 3 times, and world peace has been maintained so far, but history repeats itself, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Cossack, a mysterious scientist, has invented 8 powerful robots and sent them after Mega Man. Mega Man starts for the battle again. This time equipped with the more powerful new Mega Buster, which I'm going to talk about in just a second. Oh man, I just love how he switches on the helmet and the train just zooms by. It's so cool. And of course, the shot here too with the helmet. So awesome. One of the cool things about Mega Man 4 though is the music. The music is actually really awesome in this game. So we're going to jump right in and experience some of that awesome music for ourselves. Basically, what I meant by a new powerful Mega Buster is this is actually the first game where you can charge your shots. It's something that wasn't in the series at all. And of course, it's something that Inafune really talked about later, sort of breaking the series in a lot of ways, which is why when Mega Man 9 and 10 rolled around, you didn't really see it there. So we can really start at any number of areas. We could start with Pharaoh Man, we could start with Dive Man, we could probably even start with Dust Man, but we're actually going to start with Toad Man, where it's a lot of people really start. The main reason we start with him is to line up having the skull barrier when we get to Drill Man stage, because if you started with Dive Man, for example, which a lot of people do as well, you don't have that. The skull barrier, when we get to that level, you'll find it is really useful to have. So right here, first thing you'll notice right away is that it's raining, and in fact, if I jump and don't move, I will actually move backwards. So basically, it kills a lot of forward momentum that you'd usually have by jumping. So, for example, this cliff here usually would be really easy to do. In fact, is way more difficult, especially with the rain. So again, we want to sort of take our time with these jumps. Again, I've sort of tried to drill home the point that Mega Man is definitely not a game about rushing. Yes, it is a good game to speedrun, but for the most part, you generally want to take your time with it. You want to be patient with a lot of those jumps. One thing that you'll also notice about the enemy designs is they do look a lot more animated this time around. This is basically the early 90s on the NES, and so it is later in the NES life cycle. And in fact, when we get to Mega Man 6, you're going to see some major differences, because at that time, that's when the Super Nintendo was out, so they were doing a lot more interesting things with that hardware at that time. Like right here, like the detail on this mini-boss is just so cool. Like, I remember the first time I saw this when I first played this game as a kid, and I was like, man, that's so cool. Even though he's a giant snail robot, you know? No, it's just cool because these are all, for the most part, crafted from Inafune and a lot of the Mega Man team members' hand-drawn designs, so it's cool to see them come to life like this. Like, even those little rat enemies, just, like, so cool. So again, we got another snail. Again, they're pretty easy, you just gotta avoid all their stuff. Pretty simple. And again, you're seeing me charge here. The reason I'm glowing is that's to indicate that I'm charging my shot. Anytime you get hit, though, you basically have to recharge, so for the most part, you can just take advantage of that. So here, pretty easy part, you just sort of don't do what I just did, wait for the fish to come to you. A lot of times, you'll usually just hop over them. Again, they die in one hit, so we don't even really need to charge. One thing, when you've played as much Mega Man as I have, and you've used the charge shot as much as I have, for the most part, you're just used to using it. So here, even though we're pretty low on health, there's a pretty good chance we're not going to actually die to Toadman. The reason why is because Toadman is actually pretty easy to beat. Basically, the main other reason we start with him is, for the most part, you can just do this. You just run up to him. As long as you keep shooting him, he will just keep bouncing over you and not actually use his attack. Unfortunately, we didn't get enough shots on him, and he didn't jump when he was supposed to. So I guess we'll try this again. So I apologize for dying. Again, if you're new to my Mega Man Let's Plays, I do die from time to time. Unfortunately, that's just the way the difficult spikes are on these games. But I'm also not trying to speedrun, and I'm in no way claiming to be perfect at these games. In fact, I'm just a normal guy who grew up on Mega Man, and I'm good at that because I grew up with these games. But, you know, stuff happens from time to time, especially when we get into the later difficulty spikes in, like Cossack's Castle, for example. You might run into some situations where I die. Or, like, Drill Man stage, which I still believe is incredibly difficult. One of the more difficult Mega Man stages for the Robot Masters, specifically. Other ones that come to mind are, like, Quickman, or, I'm trying to think of one in Mega Man 3. Gutsman in Mega Man 1, if you don't have the Magnet Beam, for example, is another one. So there we go. So Toadman down. Again, pretty easy stuff. I hardly even got hurt there when I had full health. It's just a matter of just making sure that he actually keeps jumping. So yeah, so we got the Rain Flush. Now, Rain Flush, basically what it'll do is we shoot a little satellite into the air, and then it starts raining. We'll use it a little bit. We'll use it against Brightman, for example, being the next boss that we're going to, but as well in other areas around, like Cossack's Castle or Ringman's level, for example. So here we go. We got Brightman. Why is he Brightman, you ask? Because he's got a big fucking light bulb on his head. And by the way, this music right here in Brightman stage, the best frickin' music in this game by a mile. It's so good. I love this music. So these guys here works very similarly to Shadow Man stage for Mega Man 3, where basically you shoot the light bulbs, the light goes out, you shoot the little fireworks guys, and the lights come back on. We just ride these cute little crickets. Look how cute these guys are. Of course, we didn't get to this in time because I was too busy touching the mouse on my computer. There we go. Now, we've taken a bit of damage here, so we'll go up and grab that health. Again, I'm usually not damaged too much in this area, but unfortunately today, I guess I'm a little bit rusty with this game. It's not too often I break out Mega Man 4, because as I mentioned, it is probably my second least favorite. I even play Mega Man 5 more than this one. Though I played Mega Man 4 a lot as a kid, because for the most part, that's the one that, other than Mega Man 3, that I had the longest as a kid. I didn't really get Mega Man 1 until after I got... Because the first one I got was Mega Man 3. In case you missed my Mega Man 3 Let's Play, basically I talk about it pretty quickly into it, that it's really the game that got me into Mega Man. So that was the first one I played. And then Mega Man 4 was really the next one. We sort of got that like as soon as it came out. And then, of course, Mega Man 1, I didn't really have that until I had a Super Nintendo. So now this is something new to Mega Man. This is the first Mega Man game that sort of had branching paths, and this actually becomes more utilized in Mega Man 5 and 6, especially Mega Man 6. We'll get to that when we get to that Let's Play, but basically the reason we go down there is there's an E-Tank. We'll need that E-Tank later. And those jumps, the reason I use Rush Coil is because it tricks you into thinking that you're able to jump those, but in fact you are not able to jump that distance at all. So we got more crickets here. We got more totems. Yeah, I just felt like killing him, by the way. Sorry. Alright, so here's an area that can get a little bit rough, and you sort of have to... You really have to take your time here, so... normally, I would just shoot this guy, because, I mean, I could probably do this with the lights off, but it's so much easier to navigate this area if you don't kill these guys. Because even if you tap those platforms, they'll start going without you, and it's a lot harder to tell the different distance that you need if the lights are out. So it's so much easier just to do it this way. We'll have to shoot, or we don't even have to shoot that one there. I usually have to shoot that guy there in order to, you know, not get hit. So there we are, we're already at Brightman. So we're going to equip the Toad Flush here. You really only have enough weapon energy to kill him completely, so you just have to make sure you're not jamming it. I mean, it does a pretty good job of not letting you overuse it anyways, but just in case. So, very similarly to Flashman, he has the ability to freeze you. His shots don't do a ton of damage. What does do a lot of damage for Brightman is if he jumps into you, so that's the one thing you sort of have to watch out for. Like, look at that, like, that took off a quarter of my health, it's crazy. So there we go, Brightman down, easy peasy. We get the Bright Flash, which allows us to freeze enemies, like I said, just like Flashman, or even later enemies like Centaur Man, for example. You got Flash Stopper. And yes, you get to turn purple. It's pretty cool. So, next stage, we are going to Pharaoh Man. Pharaoh Man, I really love the level, and the music in Pharaoh Man's level is really cool as well. Generally, when I'm doing like a normal playthrough on my own, Pharaoh Man's actually usually the one I start with. But I wanted to show you how comically easy Pharaoh Man is when you have the Flash Stopper, because he's an absolute joke. These Scorpion guys here can be kind of annoying. They can soak up damage just a little bit. Plus, if you don't hit them in the right area, or the right time, the bullets just bounce off of them. And they move pretty damn fast. Now, first of all, we're going to use the Toad Flush to knock this guy out. And the reason we're doing that is because Mega Man 4 has two different items that you can get very similarly to the Magnet Beam in Mega Man 1 that are sort of optional, except for the fact that you eventually did have to use the Magnet Beam in Mega Man 1. But these weapons that one of the ones I'm about to get, you don't have to get them. You can totally complete the game without them. But I like to collect them, number one, because it shows you guys how to get them, and number two, because it makes our lives a little bit easier when we get to Kosek's castle. So there we go. So we got the balloons. It basically acts very much like item 1 from Mega Man 2, basically allowing us to create flat floating platforms. Of course, here we got the bats from Woodman stage, and they appear in later Mega Man games as well, like Rolling Armadillo stage in Mega Man X, for example. So here, what you want to do with these platforms is jump the second they fire, because it's basically the game's way of telling you when to jump. Those bats we don't even really need to fuck with. Alright, so here is a new enemy. We got a mummy who spins his own head and throws it at it. Yeah, that's a thing that exists. The reason why you want to sort of mow them down is because they go back into the walls and back out again, and if you don't kill them before they go into the wall, they will fully regenerate all their health. So it makes your life so much easier if you just kill them right away. And of course, that's Pharaoh Man stage right there. We're going to equip the Flash Stopper, and I'm going to show you just how easy this is. So I'm going to sort of just spam the button here, so it'll activate right away, and literally all we do is we just shoot him like this. He doesn't even stand a chance. You just keep jamming away at him. I'm just gonna keep pressing the button. He's just so helpless. Like, look at him there. I almost feel bad for him. Like, look at that. He's just like, hey, could you let me do something? And there we go. So Pharaoh Man down. Easy enough. If you don't go all out, you run the risk of running out of flash stopper, so you want to jam as much of it as you can into it if you're going with that strategy. Again, he is beatable with the Mega Buster, but I believe he's actually probably the toughest of the enemies that you can start with to fight on your own with the Buster. So, for the most part, you just have to be wary if you run out of that. So next up, we're going to go to Ring Man. He's very obsessed with rings, and I don't know why. I mean, I'm sure him and Sonic would be pals. You're going to see a bunch of rings in this stage. So here, these platforms, basically, as soon as you stand on them, they will start to disappear. Now, as I mentioned before, we'll use the Rain Flush here in this stage. So, basically, just to make our lives easier with these platforms, we just use them to take care of the enemies as we climb. Again, same with these little Saturns. Again, since we're not using this on Ringman himself, we can use it pretty liberally here. And if you're going to use it here, you basically have to use it as soon as you climb the ladder, or else it won't work. Now, I'm going to show you guys a little bit of a trick here. We're about to fight a Hippo mini-boss. This is sort of a trick I learned from watching speedruns. Basically, what you can do is you can sort of... because usually you'll get hit once or twice when you fight this guy. So basically what you do is you sort of take a hit here, you knock it out enough platforms and just jump straight through. No real reason to fuck with him. Now, these buzzsaws are a little bit devious because of the fact that they can only be destroyed using Ringman's powers, which makes it kind of annoying because if, for example, you get trapped down there, you have no way of killing them. I mean, because you don't have Ringman's power yet, so you don't really have any way of fighting them if you're trapped with them. So you gotta be careful when moving around these guys. So here we're about to fight another mini-boss. Now we don't need too much Pharaoh Shot when we fight Ringman, so I tend to just one-shot these guys with Pharaoh Man's Shot. Pharaoh Man's weapon, by the way, is the only ability you can actually charge in this game, very similarly to the Mega Buster. And it sort of hints at that when you're fighting Pharaoh Man. If you see him actually fight, he actually charges the Pharaoh Shot and uses it against you. So again, we got another Hippo. You just easily sneak past him. We'll use Rush Coil up here because we're going to see the first appearance of Eddie. Eddie is our little friend that makes his first appearance in this game, and it goes on to be in later Mega Man games. He gives us an item at random. The most common drop is weapon energy, so that's the main reason why I equipped the Pharaoh Shot. Because again, we'll use it on another one of those guys later, and of course, on Ringman himself. Oh shit. I wasn't expecting him just to go into that defensive mode right away. So here, the difference between these ones and the multicolor platforms is that these ones basically go in reverse. So what you want to do is sort of have them go first and then you adjust accordingly. Now, this drop here is one of the things that trips up new players, like it's nobody's business, because a lot of new players will generally just jump down off the ladder, and if you do that, you're going to fall right onto this thing, and if you don't start moving right away, then, well, you're kind of fucked. So, here we're going to do the same thing as before. Again, it doesn't matter, because we're not going to use a ton of Pharaoh energy on Ringman, so for the most part, we can just use it there. And here we are at Ringman's lair. Once again, we will equip the Pharaoh Shot since it is his weakness. And as well, you can actually start charging it here as we're waiting for him to do his introduction, and immediately just get a shot off on him. Again, it just basically you only really need like 4 or 5 shots if you fully charge it. And boom! Ringman down! Easy as can pie, as one would say. So we now have in our possession the Ring Boomerang. Basically, it fires a ring back out and back to us, as the name would suggest anyways. We're next going to go to Dustman, who is Ring Boomerang's weakness. I don't know why Dustman really is weak to the Ring Boomerang, or rings in general, because, you know, he's a giant vacuum cleaner. It doesn't really make any sense. This is, of course, where the logic for the enemy weaknesses sort of went out the window, because the they tried to really stop trying to make sense of why they're sort of weak to them. And again, you see a little bit of that in Mega Man 3 because of the fact that you have very non-traditional enemy types. For example, in Mega Man 1, you have things like Flame Man, and you have Ice Man, and basically, it's pretty easy to discern who's weak to what. Whereas, in this, you've got a dust and a skull, and you got rings, and you got underwater guy. Like, it's very, very weird to sort of come up with that stuff. Those guys soak up damage like it's nobody's business. This part really sucks because you've got these ladybugs that come in. They sort of follow you around, so you basically have to deal with them. If you don't, they're going to deal with you. And of course, these platforms don't always spawn when you jump down, and they don't really have a specific time associated with them. They just sort of just spawn whenever. So you gotta just wait for them, I guess. And it's really tricky if you miss one of those platforms. You're gonna be hurting because they don't always respawn right away. Over here we got Eddie, and whew, that was an awesome drop because Eddie has a very, very, very low chance of dropping a E-tank, which will be very, very useful later. So here, what you want to do is sort of be thorough with these blocks, because basically, if you're not, you can get crushed by these big platforms. And especially, what we're going to do when we get here is essentially, we're going to basically be sliding back and forth because we can't really rest between the two areas with blocks in them. So we want to be as thorough as we possibly can here. The Met will keep respawning, but that's okay. And realistically, we could farm for items if we needed them here, like if we were low on health for some reason or another. Usually you're not really low on health for any real reason. Unless that ladybug section really killed you, because, like I said, that can be really tough, especially if you're a new player, so. Of course, we got the famous Gumball machine. That was from Brightman stage. Of course, we got a spinning Met there, which just takes more damage because he likes to spin. I don't know why he likes to spin. Maybe it's fun. I don't know. And here we are at Dustman's lair. Now, what Dustman is like, he's basically very similar to Magnet Man from Mega Man 3, where basically he'll shoot out his dust ability, but then he'll try and suck you in with his giant vacuum cleaner on his head. So basically, you want to just sort of get close to him and just sort of spam this. As he's sucking you in, you can't attack him, so you want to just sort of get far away. But the main reason why you get close to him is every once in a while, the ring will deal two damage twice. So if you get closer to him, there's more of a chance of that happening. Of course, Dustman is down, and we're going to get his little dust shot there. Of course, the fact that we're fighting Dustman brings me to the point that I brought up earlier, which is Mega Man 4 is not really my favorite Mega Man game. I definitely like it more than Mega Man 5, and it's grown on me over the years, but coming off Mega Man 3 specifically, I was a little bit let down with this game, mainly because for the enemies really, the Robot Masters in particular, really leave a lot to be desired anyways. It's not like the previous cast of Mega Man characters where I feel like we're really inventive. Maybe Mega Man 1 was the other example. As much as I love Elecman for the most part, they are pretty generic. And here, again, they're a little bit weirder. Again, the fact that you have Dustman who's literally got a vacuum cleaner. I like the design of Dustman, but the idea that you're fighting these types of Robot Masters, I don't know. I feel like I'm more underwhelmed fighting these guys than fighting, like, Gemini Man, for example. Like, the battle with Gemini Man is so memorable anyways. Like, I love the fact that you fight him as two guys. It's just so cool. That said, the Robot Masters, the cool thing about the Robot Masters in all the Mega Man games is after Mega Man 1, where all the Robot Masters were created by Inafune, all the Robot Masters were actually created by fans in Japan who submitted their entries in a contest. And basically what they would do is you would sort of sketch a design and basically talk about its powers, and then Inafune would sort of redraw the characters with the art style of Mega Man in mind, so that they all look congruent with each other. So, and then really, so for all the Mega Man games, 2 through 6, they are all contest robots. And in particular, in Mega Man 6, it was really the first time that we got Robot Masters outside of Japan. They opened the contest up to North America for that one, so we got 2 Robot Masters out of it. One from an American and one from right here in Canada, which is just so cool. I kind of wish, like, because I didn't know about that contest as a kid. It's one of those things where I wish I would have been cognizant enough to enter that, because that would just be so cool to have your name attached to a character in Mega Man 6. It's just so cool. And if I can't remember, the 2 North American Robot Masters were Windman and Nightman. If I remember correctly, Windman is the Canadian one, and Nightman's the American one, but I could have those backwards. So here we got some Skull Dudes. Pretty easy, you just shoot them in the face. Now there's an E-Tank down there, and I'm going to show you guys how to get it. It can be a little bit tricky, especially when we're on our way back, but for the most part we should be able to get it. And we're going to need it later in Cossack's Castle, so we may as well grab it. It'll really save us from using some lives. So since... Now normally you can make the jump there, but because we have the balloons, it's just so much easier just to use the balloons there. So there we go, we got the E-Tank now. To get back across, what we want to use first is the Flash Stopper, because it'll stop that skull guy up there from shooting us. And then we can just sort of wait for this green guy to come down, just so that we don't risk him jumping into us. And since we have the balloons, and we're using it anyways, we might as well just use it as a platform to make sure that we make that jump. Because if the timing isn't exactly precise on that jump, you're going to fall to your death. So, since we have the balloons, we may as well use them. And here, I just love the look of this. It's just dusk, and it looks really cool. The skeleton guys, I'm using the charge shot on them because if you don't, they just rebuild themselves, which can be kind of annoying. That was close, by the way. I totally dodged that bone like a pro there. So here we are at Skullman. Now, Skullman, of course, takes the proud tradition of using shield, like very much like Woodman, for example, or like later with Starman or Flower Man, sorry, from Mega Man 6. He's pretty easy to beat. He does a lot of damage when he runs into you, so you want to sort of keep your distance, but sometimes that doesn't matter because he's going to run straight towards you with his shield. But otherwise, pretty much a pushover if you've got the dust shot. So there we go. So Skullman down. We get the Skull Barrier, and we've got 2 more Robot Masters to go. Just like all the other weapon gaining cutscenes here, you can't really skip them. But I like the fact that they're so much quicker than, say, Mega Man 2, which take for fucking ever. So here we go, we got Dive Man, and like I said at the beginning of the video, you can really start with Dive Man if you want to. In fact, that's where a lot of people start, but I believe, because Drill Man stage is actually really annoying if you don't have the Skull Barrier from Skullman. Ooh, I wasn't paying attention there. So if you don't have the barrier from Skullman, Dive Man stage can... No, not Dive Man. Drill Man stage can be really annoying. So, I'm going to focus on trying not to do that again. Again, those buzzsaws, we could actually take them out if we really wanted to, with the ring boomerang. Again, these fish, you want to try not to rush through this area, because they can be kind of annoying. These mine things, you can't really kill. We just swim past them, though. I love the design of the Mets, though, in this game, with the little snorkel and the flippers. They look really cool. Dive Man stage is also one of the stages that I love the music for as well. And even, like, some of the enemy designs, like these whales are really cool. The Mets are really cool. Eventually we're going to fight some stingrays, and they look really cool, too. So, and again, we could... This is the one area in the game where we could use Rush Marine, and we don't because no one likes Rush Marine. I mean, let's face it, that's one of the reasons they take Rush Marine out. Oh my god! That's crazy! That's our second E-Tank from Eddie. That never fucking happens. if that's the case, we can actually probably be a little bit more liberal with our E-Tank usage than normal. We could use one on a boss that we normally wouldn't use it on, because usually we'll fill up just on our normal run here, which means we'll be +1. So in theory, I could just use burn one wherever if we need to. Those are the stingrays I talked about. Again, they're not really harmful, but I just really like the design of them. They look really cool. Of course, we got another whale guy. We're actually going to fight this guy again, because I'm about to show you guys where the next secret weapon is. So you could go straight, or we could jump down this harmful looking pit. Again, here you're going to sort of want to watch yourself, because it can be a bit devious with the spikes. Very similar to the broken version of Sparkman stage. And here we get the wire, which is basically like a grappling hook. It allows you to just grapple to ceilings and just go straight up. Again, it's not something we use too much. It's useful in a couple areas in Kozak's castle, but otherwise we don't really use it too often. Not as much as the balloons. The balloons we're going to actually probably use a lot. So here, remember in Pharaoh Man stage when I got the balloons, it propelled us ahead? Well, this time, it actually just propelled us backwards, and it gave you full health, so like if we were really hurting for health there, it would just propel us back and we'd have full health again. As if we died and had to restart at that checkpoint. So these mines, you basically have to get close to them, close enough for them to sort of go off. Unfortunately, you don't really have any way of blowing them up. They're not really weak to any of the weapons. So there, if you jump too high, you will jump into those spikes. So you gotta be careful when you're jumping between sections like that. And here we are. So we are at Dive Man. We should be fine for health. That being said, I can burn an E-Tank because we are up an E-Tank if we need to. But here, the weapon of choice is Skull Barrier. Again, you, in theory, could just use the Buster. Of course, I did not handle that well because I was not paying attention. So you could just use the Mega Buster here if you wanted to on Dive Man, and he's serviceable, though since we have the Skull Barrier, we may as well use it. It's just a bit tricky to use because he does fire missiles and do all kinds of shit. And if you spam it too much, he will be invincible and not hit by it. So you have to watch your usage with it as well. And there we go. So Dive Man down, and we have one more to go. We got Drill Man. Now, as I mentioned, Drill Man stage can be a bit of a pain. It's not so bad if you have the Skull Barrier, but if you don't have the Skull Barrier, it's a big pain. So that's the main reason why we go this route anyways. So we got Dive Missile, and actually, Drill Man's also probably the hardest robot master you'll fight in this game, except maybe Feral Man if you use the Mega Buster. Drill Man, very, very, very reminiscent of Crash Man, and even his power, the Drill Bomb, is very similar to Crash Bombs. And he's also allergic to the dive missiles, which makes Mega Man Blue, just like Crash Man's weakness, the Airman's power, which is kind of crazy. It's a big coincidence. And you'll see the part coming up that I'm referring to, but where we'll really need the Skull Barrier. Here, for the most part, the game almost encourages you to rush through this area, but for the most part, you really don't want to. Those bats will manhandle you. That one-up you can get, but it is a bit tricky, and generally, it's basically there to bait you into dying. So you don't really want to go for it unless you really feel like dying and starting over and getting back to that spot again. It's very similar to the E-Tank that's in Metal Man stage in Mega Man 2. That's really designed basically to murder you. These cannons can be really annoying, especially if if you're off on the timing, because they really only are vulnerable for a quick second. And if you keep hammering away at them with your pea shooter, they don't open. So that E-tank we will definitely want to get. I'll show you how the wire works, so we can just get right under it and do that. Boom. Of course, you could also just use rush coil to get it as well, but again, since we have the wire, we may as well use it. Damn it. Alright. These guys are pissing me off today. Alright, so here's the spot I'm referring to. This part really sucks, so what we're going to do is we're going to use the skull barrier as much as we can on the rocks, because if you don't, you could be in some serious trouble. And we don't want to use it too much on the floating guys if we don't have to, because if you are stuck without the skull barrier, this part can be messy. And we almost just died thanks to lag there. May as well kill this guy, see if he's got energy. Nope. Alright. So we're gonna go in and fight Drillman. Again, he's weak to the dive missile, but for the most part, it is... Even then, it still takes a ton of dive missiles to kill him. We could fire the first shot, but it'll really just bounce off him. Basically, what you don't want to do when he goes underground is sort of just keep moving, and he'll just pop his head out. And again, see, it just bounces off him, so you just want to keep moving. Now, usually, he comes up and tries to shoot us with the drills at this point. I'm actually kind of surprised he's gone underground as much as he can. Again, very similar to Crash Man, the Crash Bombs. The drills explode on impact, though. The Crash Bombs, of course, basically will stick to things and then explode, whereas the drill bombs explode on command, so you can press another button to explode. And there we go. So Drill Man down. Now we're gonna move on to Cossack's Castle. Now, interesting enough, unlike Mega Man 3, which has really started the trend of having another section before you go to Wily's Castle, this game also has a second castle. So basically we'll go to Cossack's Castle first, and then we go to another castle after. So, and then all the subsequent Mega Man games after this one started doing this as well. So there we go, we got Cossack's Castle. It looks very, very, very Russian, you know, because he's Dr. Cossack. Yeah, I know. I can't make this shit up. By the way, Cossack's Castle looks way more intimidating than the next castle we're going to go to. So here we are in the snow. I just love the look of this level. Plus, I love the music as well in Cossack's Castle. Those Slinkies, by the way, take a ton of damage, and I don't understand why they just soak it up like it's nobody's business. Also, there's a ton of ice in this level, and then the snow hampers your movement speed, so the ice makes you move fast, the snow makes you move slow, like snow. Most of the stage as well is made up of ice, so it can be a bit perilous, especially if you are a new player, because for the most part, ice in Mega Man games is kind of annoying. So. Nope. Alright, so here we're going to fight some more skeleton dudes like we fought in Skullman stage. And of course, those coming out of the ground are there to trip you up, especially if you are a new player. So you gotta always make sure to check every chasm before you jump over it in this castle, or else you're gonna die instantly. There we go. Basically, the reason why we don't slide there, number one, because we haven't used any weapon energy yet, and number two, the bottom one just slides to your death. So, no real reason to use it. Now, we could use Rush Jet here. Again, we don't actually really need Rush Jet a ton yet, so for the most part, I can just use it really quickly there, just to get across the chasm, because that chasm really sucks if you don't do that. So, here we're going to use the balloons. Again, you could also use Rush Coil as well here, if you didn't have the balloon adapter, but since we have the balloons, we may as well use them. It does make things a little bit cleaner, whereas Rush, you might propel too high, you have to jump onto the ice, which can be kind of annoying. So this area here, very similar to a section in Wily's Castle in Mega Man 2, you can sort of just use the platform to go across, but since we were wanting weapon energy anyways, we may as well go up there and get that. That jump can be kind of annoying. You basically just hold left as soon as you jump down, and you're able to make it. So, here we just want to hammer away at him because he takes a ton of damage. We're at the top to fight our very first boss in Kosak's castle. A lot of the enemies in his castle are actually weak against the ring boomerang, so it's actually going to come in handy a lot of times, including this guy, who's also weak to it. Which is good, because I'm glad that not all the frickin' enemies are allergic to, say, Skull Barrier or something like that, because that would be bad. God, my aim's totally off today. And there we go, so he is down. We cut it a bit close there, but that's okay, we got it done. So just like all the other castles in Mega Man, the weapon energy does not replenish, so you do have to be very judicious about refilling your weapon energy as you go along. Unless, of course, you really want to continue, because that's when you get the refill. But we don't want to continue, we just want to keep playing. So. And we still got more of this really cool music. Again, I like the music in Kosak's Castle. I think it's really good. Of course, coming off Mega Man 1, 2, and 3's music, though, it is a little bit... It's not as good as it, but I still think it's really good. So here, we are definitely going to want to replenish the ring. So let's go down and grab this. For here, we're going to need to Rush Jet. So let's equip Rush Jet. And even though we used Rush Jet before, there are actually a lot of weapon energy power-ups here. The main reason why you won't see me go for all of them is because of the fact that if we die for some reason, they don't replenish. So they do not respawn if we die, so you've got to be careful with that. Those spikes don't kill you in one hit, thank God. If you get hit, you'll fall down, which, while annoying, is not as bad as, say, dying instantly. Alright, so here, what we're gonna want to do, I usually just use the Toad energies just to kill this bat as soon as it spawns, because otherwise we're going to take a hit here, especially when we don't really want to. Here we can use the wire because, like I said, we don't really use the wire too much for a while, so there's no real reason to use a ton of it. Again, we want to sort of focus on getting Ring first because it is one of the more useful power-ups later on in the castle. Also, spoiler alert, the Rain Flush we aren't going to really use again until we fight all the Robot Masters, when we have to use the Rain Flush in order to beat Brightman, so for the most part, we're okay using it. So here, we want to focus on getting the weapon energy. Let's go with Rush Jet, because we'll probably use it again. We'll use the Balloon Adapter again as well, so that will be our next target. Just like here, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to bait this guy up, because we're definitely going to want that E-Tank. Because even though we will be at our max, it will be handy to have later. Because like I said, some of these bosses can be kind of tough, so we may as well at least have it there. Of course, the barriers, very similarly to the way Crash Bombs work, are susceptible to the weapon that is like Crash Bombs, otherwise known as the Drill Cannon. Nope. There we go. You know, we could have gone to get that health, but I think we'll be okay. That life, you could use the wire adapter to get it. We don't really need it. I don't anticipate us dying for a while, so no real reason to do that. Now, here we're going to fight the Dust Crusher. Kind of a weird enemy to fight because it's kind of a moving structure, I guess. Yeah, but yeah, the Dust Crusher is its weakness. So what it's going to do is it's going to form up like this, and I'm going to get inside and blast it in this big red flashing thing. And we can just slide under it until it's ready to form again. and you can tell it's ready to form when it's moving slow like this. And it actually does have a faster speed than we've seen. I don't really feel like dying again. And like I said, we're up in E-Tank anyways. Yes, we're down to 6, but we'll be fine. Trust me, it'll be better than watching me die all over again. And there we go, the faster speed. And still not ready to form yet. If you're not actually in the structure when it forms, it basically just stands there and shoots at you. And you can't do anything about it except slide. So, it's better to jump in there and kill it. By the way, I didn't even know you could get hit by that. So, there we go. We learned something new. Boom! And it's down. So, second boss down. We got 2 more to go before we are done this castle. And moving on to another castle of some kind. It could be anyone. It could even be Mr. X. Spoilers for Mega Man 6. Mega Man 6, by the way, you fight Mr. X in that game. He has a castle in the shape of an X. Now here is a very weird level, probably one of the most unique levels you'll find in this game. It's an auto-scrolling level, which is very different from Mega Man, because really the only other level that we got that auto-scrolls is the dragon mini-boss, or the dragon boss in Wily's Castle in Mega Man 2. So you don't really do another level like this. This is very much something out of Mario Brothers. So here we will want to refill the Dust Crusher because we are going to need it. And we're going to want to stay on the top route because the top route actually has a lot of weapon energy, and we might as well grab it and refill what we can anyways. And the next thing we'll want to do is drill, because that is the weakness of the boss that we are coming up to. Though, to be perfectly frank, we really could just beat the next boss without it. But we made... I'm going to show you guys how to beat it with the drill. So here, we just want to sort of back up, let him come to us, and just jump out. So here, you would think this would be bad, but now that you have Ringman's powers, you can just use the boomerang to kill those things. Just keep going. And once again, we got more scrolling. Again, this is a level like straight out of, say, Mario 3, for example. This is definitely not your typical Mega Man level. Again, these gold platforms don't really appear until we've jumped on one. We may as well fill the wire, because we will use it at some point. Again, Toad, like I said, we will refill it before we fight Brightman again, but that's really the only other time we really use it, so no real rush to refill it. And again, these platforms will go higher as we jump off of them, so you just sort of use that to your advantage and build it up to a height that you're comfortable jumping at. Again, it's nothing too difficult. Especially if you played a Mario game before, like, this is very, very, very similar. Like, this is something straight out of Mario 3. Now, this E-Tank here, again, will drive you nuts if you do not have the balloon adapter, which is how you get it. So I'll show you how to get this. So you just pop the balloon, come on, there we go. And we slide. Boom. Easy peasy. Again, you need the balloon adapter to get that. There is no way to get it if you don't. So here, this boss's weakness is the drills. Again, this boss you could probably pretty easily beat with the Mega Buster as well. So basically, the way the drill bombs work is basically they will explode on contact, but if you press the button before they explode, they will actually prematurely explode and will actually deal more damage that way. So you'll actually see us use that mechanic more when we fight the next boss that is allergic to drills. And no, I'm not talking about Toadman, because Toadman, whose weakness is also the drills, you will not see me use it on him because it's so much easier just to attack him with the Mega Buster. Boom. Easy peasy. That boss, like I said, not too difficult to beat as long as you dodge its lasers and sort of stay in the middle of the platform. You can just use the Mega Buster on it, though. So you don't really actually need to use the drills if you don't want to. And here we go. We are on to the last level in Cossack's Castle. And judging by the drawing, it's pretty long. And I just love the look of the Starry Night. It's so cool. So here we can just use the balloons to get up and get these weapon energies. Again, we're gonna want some of these like for our balloons. And then what else should we get? We definitely want to get drills, so... There we go. Because we're actually going to use drills again in this stage. Not against the boss, but against more barriers to get more items, like that E-Tank, which we are going to want. And it's part of our collection fund in order to get max E-Tanks. There's actually one more on the stage as well that we can collect, so that'll actually put us at 9. Which is why you saw me use the one earlier. Like I said, we're up 1 E-Tank so far. Thanks to our good boy, Eddie. Alright, so I lied about Toad Flush. We'll actually... Or sorry, Rain Flush. We'll actually use it here on these bats. Just to make our lives a little bit easier. Just clear them all out. And we'll even refill it while we're at it, so we don't really have to worry about it again. Here you have a divergent path, and it's really the first time in the series where you have a divergent path where you don't know you won't be able to experience the other path if you make a choice. So we're actually going to choose this one and use the wire adapter to get us up. Of course, you have to. It's very finicky, so you just sort of have to get into the right groove. There we go. It usually takes a couple of attempts because it's just if you're off by a pixel, it won't pick you up. So there we go, so we destroyed the barrier. And of course there will be more barriers to destroy down here, as there is another E-Tank, the final one that we're looking to collect, right here waiting for us. Which is why you actually might see me use one against Dr. Cossack, which I normally wouldn't use, but because we are sort of at max E-Tanks right now, it's probably okay to do so. And of course that's where I would have come out up there if I took the other path. Which again does not contain any tank, and it is more in the way. And you can actually go down the special path if you don't have the wire adapter. It's just more difficult to go down it using Rush Coil, but you can actually do it using Rush Coil if you want. Now there, again, we could go for the weapon energy, but I think we're actually okay. Because like I said, the only thing that really needs refilling is the wire and drills, and we'll have plenty of chances to refill them later. So, Dr. Cossack's weakness is the Dust Crusher as well. Again, between that and the Ring Boomerang, for all the bosses here, I think that's where we get sort of the most use. Dr. Cossack, if you let him hit you, he actually does a ton of damage, so you have to sort of just keep your distance as much as you can. He can also pick you up with the claw, and that ain't pretty, because it does a ton of damage to you if you get hit by it. And there we go. So Dr. Cossack's down. Or is he? So Proto Man shows up, and he brings Kalinka, who is his daughter. Please, Mega Man, don't. My father is not really evil. Dr. Wily took me hostage and forced my father to fight you. Please, Mega Man, don't hurt my father anymore. And of course, this is actually really the first time we're sort of getting story text in Mega Man, which is just really cool. Oh, Kalinka. Mega Man, please forgive me. And of course, who else shows up but Dr. Wily? Come on, would it be anyone else? You betrayed me, Proto Man. I'm going to break you, Mega Man. Apparently, Proto Man and Wily were working together? I don't know, man. It doesn't explain any of that. So, of course, we got the classic Dr. Wily doing the eyebrow thing, as he usually does. Now, we are going to go to Dr. Wily's castle, which just looks goofy in comparison to Cossack's castle. Like, Cossack's castle looks so much cooler than Wily's castle. I'm sorry. Yes, it has a giant skull with a really weird staircase that is really giant for some reason. But I don't know, Cossack's Castle to me, like, just looks so much more menacing than this. So here's the first level of Wily's Castle. Very much has bathroom tiles all over it with a bunch of pipes. Again, it's Met City up in this place. Got dancing Mets, we got normal Mets. We don't have the Nye Mets. Because the Nye Mets are my favorite squadron. Now you're about to actually see some really, I don't know why, like really weird enemy placement. We may as well just go up and around. It's just annoying. There we go. Again, we may as well grab this health, because why not? So, I'm going to show you this in a second. Again, it's just really goofy the way they put this together, so... or maybe it's in the next way. And of course, I'm not paying attention right now. We may as well grab that weapon energy. We are going to definitely need the Dust Crusher, so let's go grab it. Alright, so it's actually after this water park. I jumped the gun. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. So I love the fact that on that area up there, it showed like sort of the watery difference between the tiles going into the water. It just looks really cool. Here, you could actually use Rush Marine if you're having trouble navigating these spikes. Because basically, just like in Bubble Man stage in Mega Man 2, if you get super buoyancy, so if you press the jump button too hard, you will jump right into those spikes, and bad things will happen to you. So again, what we can do, we can just take this guy out with the ring boomerang, because why not? He might actually drop something useful. And of course, what Mega Man game wouldn't be complete without fucking block puzzles? Alright, so let's just wait for this to jump. Luckily, the block puzzles are actually pretty easy. Unfortunately, there's a bit of a delay on the audio for me, so as a result, my timing is a bit off. Because the best way to actually solve the block puzzles in the Mega Man games is actually to go by the audio timing. There we go. We could have, if we missed that for some reason, we could just use the wire to get out. And of course, we're going to definitely need the weapon energy here, so we may as well get it. What do we want to refill? Let's refill the drills, since we're going to need those. Again, we won't need them for Toad Man when we fight him, so... Now, this is what I'm talking about. Those enemies up there, they really don't exist for any reason other than to be just hanging out there. They don't really do anything. Yeah, I don't know. Alright, so here we are. We are at the first enemy in Wily's Castle. And yeah, it's Giant Met. And guess what he's allergic to? The ring boomerang. As I mentioned, we are going to be using it a lot. Basically, he stuns you very similar to Gutsman when he jumps, or Hardman. And again, in theory, if I let him hit me again, I'm going to just use another E-Tank on him. Because, like I said, we're up an E-Tank. Of course, these little Mets have a chance of dropping items as well. So we could always farm them if we have to. We may as well use it, because like I said, we're not going to need all 9 for the rest of the enemies here. Just as a precaution. Boom! And he's down. So we didn't even really need to use it, but like I said, it's better to be safe than sorry. I don't want to get over cocky like I did with Dive Band. We're just going to pretend like that didn't happen, by the way. Bum, ba, da, bum, bum, bum. Alright, so, moving on. We're going to jump on top of a baboon, apparently. Alright, so we can slide through. As far as I remember, if you slide on the bottom one, you will always fall to your death, so you don't want to go down there. Also, kind of a weird spike placement right next to the ladder, but... of course, basically, that Ladybug actually has the ability to knock you off the cliff there, so you gotta watch out for that. That E-Tank we could go for, but like I said, we don't really need it. The top path's better since we don't really have to use the rings to kill these guys if we don't want to. Boom. Rush yet. Finally useful for something. Eddie is sort of just hanging out by himself here. We'll equip the rings just in case he drops weapon energy. He gave us a free man. Thanks for nothing, Eddie. Alright. I don't think we can... There's actually anything that way, so we're gonna go this way. Yep, just a drill. Just a buzzsaw. Ah, damn it. Oh, well. Jump the gun there. You can't win them all, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, we got some more mummies here, spinning their heads at us. Just slide under them. Don't even worry about that one. Again, we got more bats. We actually have a full rain flush, so we won't actually use it on these guys. Again, I just use the wire here because... for the most part, we're trying to conserve our balloons because they'll actually become more useful later. So I'm actually going to conserve them as much as I can anyways. And we're sort of just farming these guys in case they drop weapon energy, which will be very beneficial to us later. Oh. Just generate that guy. Alright, so we are at our second boss. Now this boss, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is actually weak to either the Pharaoh Shot or the drills. I usually just use the Mega Buster against him. For the most part with this guy, he's going to launch those bouncy balls from his head and the flames from his mouth, so for the most part you just got to avoid his attacks. This is probably the second most likely enemy I will use an E-Tank on, next to maybe Wily, so for the most part I'm already planning on having to use one if I have to. Since his attacks, while can be pretty easily telegraphed, for the most part they do a ton of damage, like that ball for example, so we may as well just use an E-Tank. Like I said, we have more than enough of them here, since we're not going to use them on the Robot Masters, and really just be Wily after that, so. Alright, so we are going to be safe and just use another one. Like I said, we're going to be fine for health, so. There we go, so he's down. Now, the main other reason why I didn't switch to the other power-ups to make that a little bit easier for us is because I want, since we're low on rings, we want to make sure to conserve the weapon drops that we're going to get for those powers. Because if we use too much of the other stuff, we're going to need to refill that too, and it'll make our lives more difficult later. So, it's better just to rush through it that way. Alright, so here, of course, we get another E-Tank, which we will gladly accept, since we used a few of them there. Of course, first things first, we need Ring. Again, the three major powers we're really going to need later on are Drills, Rings, and Pharaoh Shot. So, for the most part, once we've killed all the other Robot Masters, those are the three we'll really be targeting. Of course, I did not do that very cleanly, but luckily there's some more power-ups here. Of course, what we'll want to do, Rings top priority, and Drill, and last but not least, get some Dust. Because again, we will need that against Skullman in just a second. And we may as well grab this health. Again, that shield guy isn't really going to pose much of a threat to us. So in traditional Mega Man fashion, we are going to go fight all the Robot Masters all over again. So I'm actually going to switch to Dive Missiles, because we are actually going to fight Drill Man first. Get the most difficult one out of the way for sure, since he does do a ton of damage. Just let him do his thing. Sometimes the missiles will curve in your favor, and sometimes they will just go wherever the fuck they want to go. So, anytime you can get a clean shot on him, rather than having to jump and rely on the homing, is definitely better. Come on, stop doing that. He usually, like I said, he usually doesn't actually go underground that much. He's actually just been doing it a lot in this this game. So there we go. And off to our next enemy. And we got Bright Man, so what we're going to want to do is switch to the Rain Flush. Again, we refilled it earlier for the sole purpose of using all of it here. We won't ever need this ability again, so we may as well use as much of it as we can on this guy. Again, a lot of times when he freezes me, I will purposely take the blaster hit so that he doesn't jump into me, because, like I said, it does 25% of your health. So, alright, so who are we going to next? Skull Man! Alright, let's use the Dust Crusher. And I did not mean to slide into him. Whew, that was close. There was a chance I could have died there. Alright, let's see who's next. Dive Man. Alright, so once again here, since we just got an extra E-Tank this level, we might use it on him if we are running low. Again, Dive Man's a bit of a pain in the ass. And of course I should have used the E-Tank, but that's okay. We can get him this time. Oh, he ran out. God damn. Oh man, I am not having good luck with Dive Man today. Let me tell you what, ladies and gentlemen. And some people want to start with Dive Man. Jesus. He's usually not that bad. Alright, so we got Toad Man here. This should be an easy health power-up for us. He will jump right into us. Again, when we get to Pharaoh Man, I will basically say the same thing about him, since the Flash Stop we will never use again. Now again, Toad Man's weakness is the drill bombs, so for the most part, we're going to want to save those for Wily, and therefore we will just keep shooting him like this. Because why bother wasting him when you can just do this to him? And you just slide literally the second you see him jump. Boom. Alright, next boss. Dust Man. Alright, so we will use the ring boomerangs on him. Again, if I can conserve them, I'm going to try to, because we will need them later when we fight Wily. Fuck. God damn it. He just doesn't want to let us shoot him. He just just wants to keep sucking on us. And of course, I did not mean to jump there, but the Xbox controller's D-pad is not the NES's D-pad, so not totally perfect when it comes to sliding. So here we go, we got Ringman. I'm probably going to get a couple shots in on him without the Pharaoh shot. Why? Because we actually have to use the Pharaoh shot later. Now's a good time to use the Pharaoh shot. Oh, god damn. This is not a lucky day for me, ladies and gentlemen. Alright. Here's what we're going to do. No, we'll just fight him, because honestly, Pharaoh Man's just such a pushover with the Bright Beam back. Alright, so finally Ringman's down. That's gonna cramp our style a bit when we go to Wily in a bit, but I think we should still be okay. And here we're literally gonna do the same thing we did before. I'm just gonna keep him there, hammer away at him. Again, basically just a free health power up here. Boom. Alright. Now we are heading to Mr. Wily himself. This boss I am not a huge fan of because he does a massive amount of damage. But like I said, we've got the ring energy, so we should actually be just fine. Plus more than enough E-tanks if something goes wrong. Alright, so there we go. Now here's where it actually gets tough, because he still does a ton of damage, and you have to use the drills here, but the problem with the drills is that you have to use the exploding function, which can be a bit of a pain, especially when he comes right towards you. So you want to sort of keep as much distance as you can as possible to explode the drills as quickly as you can, because otherwise they actually just bounce off of him, and no other powers work against him. So there we go. So Wily's down, or is he? No! Once again, we have to fight Wily for a third time, or should say a second time, in a third vehicle. So, here we can actually recover a little bit of the Pharaoh energy. You might have to see me farm for a few seconds here, so I apologize for that, but I'm going to try and make it quick. Now again, it doesn't give you any energy here. In traditional Mega Man fashion, it gives you enemies to farm, so you can actually farm this little worms things. They do that on purpose, so that you're not totally stuck here. Because yes, you can beat this this version of Wily with just the Mega Buster if you want to, but it is very, very, very difficult. So, for the most part, I apologize. I'm going to do a few runs here and see how much weapon energy I'm able to get. It is totally random, however, so it could just be a minute or two. So, give me 2 minutes, and I will see what I can get. A lot of health power-ups, a lot of lives. Don't need those. Oh shit! I didn't mean to slide in that. All right, let's not have that. Let that happen again. I'm just so not used to seeing weapon power-ups at this point. I'm just used to just sliding through them. Alright, so there's the first one. Again, we probably only need about half of it, because again, we've got 5 E-tanks, for crying out loud, so if we had to use the Mega Buster, we have more than enough to get us through it. Alright, so I'm going to say 2 or 3 more passes, and then I will just go straight to the boss, because it doesn't look like we're going to get too much more. And again, I apologize for you guys having to watch me farm these. Unfortunately, like I said, if I didn't do this, then it would actually be worse having to watch me fight Wily without Pharaoh Shot. So. Alright, so this will be the last pass, and then we'll just go straight in. Nothing? Nothing? Come on! Oh, there we go. Thank God. This might actually just be enough. But we may as well just do the final pass, like I said, and we'll go straight in and beat up Dr. Wily here. While I'm doing this, I'm going to give you guys the rigmarole, since I'm not going to bug you guys during the final cinematic. First of all, thank you again for watching my Let's Plays. I'm relatively new to these, so I'm doing what I can to make them better. If you have any suggestions for me, or if there are any game series you want me to attempt after I'm done the Mega Man series, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear you guys' feedback about anything video games. And here we go. So we're going to beat Dr. Wily. Again, basically what we want to do is throw the charged Pharaoh shots into him, or just walk up to him and whack him with it. And I think you guys are starting to realize why this enemy is just so much of a pain without the Pharaoh shot. So we'll use the life here, because you don't want to see me farm again. This boss really sucks if you don't have the Pharaoh shot. Alright, one more hit should do it. Come on. Shit. Missed him. Alright, so this is the last remaining Pharaoh shot. If not, I gotta do this mano a mano with the Mega Buster. And there we go! We got him! With the last Pharaoh shot. That was so close. Alright, so Dr. Wily's down. So, again, I want to say thanks again for watching my Let's Play. You can get a hold of me anytime on Twitter at Ryan Turford. That is Turford, just like this YouTube channel. You can also find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Ryan Turford as well. Again, like, subscribe, share with your friends. Tune in next Wednesday. We'll be playing Mega Man 5. As well, we have new Let's Plays every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, even during Christmas. So, again, I'm going to let you guys enjoy the ending. I want to say again, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. And have yourself an awesome day.